It's better than the alternative. And I love being invisible. They don't tell you this. So when you're a young woman, you can pretty much get away with anything, but wait till you become invisible. It's amazing. It's so good. I really like it. It's interesting. I'm going to preface it a little bit. I'm the youngest of the baby boomers, and that is extremely convenient because what it means is that the moment that I become interested in something or need something, it will have become trendy 5 minutes before then. So I've noticed that there's a couple of TV shows currently that are about the issue of elderly women being invisible and the kind of shenanigans that they can get away with when nobody sees them. I really like urban exploration. I've always been a very active trespasser, respectful, but trespassing, let's face it. And, being able to get in and out of places safely and without being noticed is a whole lot easier when you're an invisible person. I've always pretty much decided for myself what I want to do and where I want to go and how I want to be. And I feel that I have even more permission to do that now that there's less scrutiny. If I had the power, I'd be inclined to change everything about the way that our society views women. I think that a lot of things that are considered to be detriments to aging are very much rooted in misogyny. And it would also be nice to live in a culture that venerates elders or appreciates their wisdom or respects or cherishes them. North American culture doesn't tend to do that. But in addition to that, there's an extra burden that's placed upon women because our value is, to many people, only during a brief window of youthful beauty. And so there's so much else that's rich and complex in any person's life, and it would be nice if all of those things were honored, and I think that would enrich all people. I don't know if it's so much overcoming a fear, but certainly one of the great gifts of aging is that you just stop giving a shit, or you give fewer shits, and that's very liberating and good for people to do that. So that's been a blessing. And the new fears are things about, as we get older, our bodies deteriorate, it becomes more difficult to be gainfully employed, we don't know how long our money is going to last. There are things about the future that used to be remote enough or used to feel remote enough to be inconsequential that are now more relevant and more real. So age requires you to pay more attention to those things. It's such an interesting question. And it applies to a lot of old things. Like, for example, Toronto is a city that hates architecture. And so many of our beautiful older architecture has been torn down. So why are certain older things valued, like wine and cheese, I guess, more than people? I think it has something to do with the North American culture of people being commodities. I think that has a lot to do with it. And that people are used for different things. An old tree, it gives beauty, it gives shade, it gives benefits to the climate. An old person is less useful as a cog in the capitalist wheel, as a sexual object, according to some people. So maybe it has something to do with the way that we commodify people that allows us to put value on different kinds of people or different times in their lives. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, always. I'm hoping to do a lot more traveling. Traveling has always been one of my top priorities, which you wouldn't necessarily know from the small amount of it that I have done, but that's mostly just from having been poor But now that I just have more opportunities to do a little more travel, so that's something that I'm looking forward to. What else? Maybe that's it. Oh, I think it's always the person that you are. It's interesting, though, I must admit that when I was young and pretty, I did enjoy looking in the mirror, and now I almost never look in the mirror. It's usually to see, like, you know, is my hair brushed? I don't pay a lot of attention to the mirror anymore. Everybody, all the women on my mom's side of the family all lived to their late 90s. So it was kind of accepted that we would all live a long, healthy life, which is a pretty nice expectation to be able to count on, knock on wood. But no, it wasn't particularly talked about. And my more elderly relatives lived in different provinces, so we didn't actually see very many of them. So the people who were older when I was a kid were my aunts and uncles that were all, you know, of the same generation as my mom and dad, and those people then were younger than I am now. But the things that I learned about what it's like to be a grown-up, a lot of it I got from them. Oh, for God's sake, buy a house now, because they are going to increase 100-fold and housing will become an inaccessible luxury in your lifetime. And for God's sake, get a job at the city and keep it, because there is nothing wrong with having job security and an inflated salary for the rest of your life. I think my two favorite songs are Burning Down the House by the Talking Heads and Lust for Life by Iggy Pop. Not particularly because of anything to do with the lyrics, although the lyrics for both are great, but it's more the rhythm and the melody and the danceability. Those are my perennial favorites. I think everybody always feels 30. Apologies to people who are not yet 30. But I keep reading, quotes from elderly people, and they all say that they feel 30. So I think that's somehow common to the human experience. One of the most wonderful things I got to do was to go to art school in Manhattan when I was in my 20s. And that was such a phenomenal experience. And it was in the early 80s, and New York City was the epicenter of the art universe at that time. So it was a very lucky time to be there, as well as a fabulous experience. And I really made a lot of lasting friendships and learned a lot from the school itself, and just relished in that wonderful opportunity. I had a rent-controlled apartment on the Lower East Side. It was so fabulous. And one of the things that I learned from that experience, because I was at OCA, and that's how old I am. That's 2 whole letters ago. It's now OCAD-U, but it used to be OCA. So they used to have a campus in New York, and it was run by a department that I was not in, but I applied to go to the New York campus anyway. And when the list was posted about the people who were successful in joining that program, my name was not on it. And I was really very sad and disappointed about that. Several of my friends were going, and my friend Peter said, well, just go talk to Gus. He was the head of the department, and tell him you want to go and plead your case. And because of the circumstances that I had grown up in, it had never occurred to me that anyone would ever be interested in listening to me telling them what I wanted, or that would ever be meaningful or respected by another person. And so that in itself was revelatory. Revelatory? That was a revelation. And then when I went to speak with Gus, we had this hilarious conversation because I was trying to be really adult pleasing and I kept saying, oh, I'll work really hard and I'll produce a lot. And he said, yeah, but it'll be a fabulous experience, right? And I said, yes, and I'll work really hard and I'll produce a lot. And he said, no, it will be a fabulous experience, right? And I said, absolutely, that's the best part. And I got in and I was so grateful. So even the process of getting into that program was something that I tangentially learned a lot from, but being able to be in New York in the 80s as a young gal, it was phenomenal. It was so great. It's so interesting. My friends who are in their 30s are constantly bitching about, I'm getting older and my back hurts and I can't stay up all night anymore. And all these things, like just through, sheer winning the DNA lottery, I don't have any of these complaints and I don't understand why they do when I'm twice their age. So I always find it funny when people who are so much younger than me complain about getting older. But basically, I would just say, relish it. Wisdom is the most important thing. And being comfortable in who you are and not having to worry about pleasing other people and not having to spend your time frittering away about crap, that's not even important. And just all of those advantages make your life so much easier and so much richer. And, it's better than the alternative. I just thought it sounded like fun. And certainly talking about aging is something that is important, that our culture needs more of. And I'm very interested in hearing all of the other voices. I think the project itself is so interesting. And I did feel kind of uncomfortable about it last night. I don't enjoy talking about myself. I don't enjoy being the focus of attention. So it kind of felt like the same stuff that you go through when you're getting ready for a date, if that makes sense. Yeah. But then I just thought, you know what? Somebody's going to put some makeup on you and they're going to brush your hair and you're going to feel pampered. And they are very interested in making you feel comfortable and taking care of you, and it's going to be fine. And in fact, it was fine. So thank you for that.